Thank you. Can I just keep it in? Can you minutes? I think I can do 20 minutes. It would be great. So like at 4:30, like we are back on schedule, so that you can
Turn it on? Okay.
Okay?
You?
Good. Then you're good. Nice.
Thank you. Okay, hello everybody. My name is Tobias. I'm a co-founder of Elasic, and we are doing product configurators. My talk is divided into two parts. In the first part, I will tell you something about the e-commerce application so that you can learn who are our customers and actually what we are doing. And in the second part, it's more technical. It's about performance measurements of render farm that we are using to offer a part of our configurators. So in the beginning, there's the image, and if you have a web shop, if you are a web owner, then you want to sell products, and shop owners know that it's good to have product images for their products. Without an image, it's very hard to sell products because the customer cannot touch or sense the product, as it is the case in the local store. And if you sell products online, then you only have text, sound, maybe, and the image. And you should use images. And images play a very important role, and that can also be found in social networks. So if you have ever tweeted something or posted something on Facebook, then I think you have experienced that most people will click and react on it if you have added an image to your post. And this is what we have, what we also can measure. So we have a lot of more views and comments if you add images to your posts. So images are important to create some kind of traction to people and to activate people, and also you can use images to improve your sales on products if you have images about the product. There's also a social network called Pinterest, which is completely built up on the image. So if you are a Pinterest user, you can pin images during your surfing the web, and your colleagues can then see which images you have pinned, and so they get noticed if you have found new interesting images. And what is interesting from a perspective of an online shop owner, the traffic that is coming from those social networks that is based on images is very high in quality, which means that people that are coming from Pinterest are likely to actually sell the product, or are more likely to sell the product instead of the other social networks, which also generate traffic, but the traffic is not that high in quality from the perspective of the online shop owner. And we can also see that the shopping basket size is highest if the traffic originates from the image-based social network. So images are very, very important for the e-commerce, and in this field is where we are working as a company. In general, the e-commerce was growing all the time in the past, even when we have seen the so-called crisis, the e-commerce was still growing, and I think we can predict that it will go on to grow in the next years. For us as a company that is placed in the e-commerce field, it's very nice news, and it's very good. But for those merchants and online shop owners, times become hard because the competition is growing and growing. So if you want to sell products, you must make sure that people find your product. But if you have so many shops, it's very hard that people find exactly your shop. So what you have to do is you have to stand out of the masses. And the problem is that for the end user, the next shop is just one click away. And you have to try to offer something that makes you become visible for the masses. And usually you can change your parameters, like the price of your products, but this is nothing that I would recommend today, because Amazon is a large player and can outperform you if you just try to compete by price. But you can offer a better quality or a better service around your product, and you can also make sure that you serve the user needs better. And how to do this? So you have three tools to serve the user needs better. The first is you can make it possible for customers to assemble the product so that they can determine from which parts the product is made of. For example, in Germany we have a company, it's called My Müsli, and you can buy cereals online, and you can decide which ingredients you want to have, nuts, any kinds of corn, raisins, and all that stuff. But you determine what you want to have and what you not want to have, which is especially important for people with, I think, allergies, is it called? So if you do not can consume a kind of material or product. The second tool you can choose to offer better products is to allow people to change the properties of compartments of products. For example, when I bought this notebook here, then I changed the number of random access memory and the size of the hard drive and that stuff. And so it was very convenient for me to do this, and so I could assemble a product which optimally fits my needs. And the third tool is you can allow customers to individualize the product. So for example, if you look to a spreadsheet, there you can upload images and photos and texts. And so the customer can create a unique product, and so the product is very unique, and it's not part of thousands of other copies of products, which also creates a new relationship between the customer and the product. And in general, this is called mass customization, which is simply producing goods for a large market while satisfying the specific needs of individual customers. So now we come to the problem that we can solve for our customers. And the problem is, in order to sell something online, you have to prepare and provide an image photo, an image or a product photo. But on the other side, you have to stand out of the masses, and you could use mass customization to do this. But here we have a large problem to face, and this is the so-called curse of dimensionality. So for example, let's assume you sell shoes and you have 10 different colors of shoes, and you have 10 different kinds of shoe strings, and you have 10 different types of materials, and the customer can choose among those parameters as he or she wants. Then you had to provide 1,000 photos in order to match all those individual variations of your product, and this is simply not affordable. And for this reason, there's a better way to make this, and this is using on-demand rendering. With on-demand rendering, you can just produce a photo when someone needs it, and this is what we are doing. We have built a platform that produces photos on demand. Whenever a customer has configured a product, then we produce the image on demand to provide an image for this product. Such a system must be 24 hours available, of course, because you never know when customers want to sell something. It must run on all platforms and all devices. And this is a very hard constraint, because you must make sure that your stuff is working on any kind of device, because you cannot afford that customers cannot go to sell the product or cannot view the product, because it would decrease the sales for our customers, and this is not what we want. And furthermore, we have to make sure that the response time of such a rendering is below 5 seconds. The shorter the better, because nobody wants to wait long until something happens on the web page. And you need down and up scaling whenever needed, so the system should work for one user as well as for 1,000 users, so it should down and up scale when it's needed. And you have a two-way communication. This is required because the user can use the web application, so it's actually a web application or a mobile application, and it creates parameters and sets parameters, and those are sent to the render cloud that we are operating, and the render cloud then returns the product photo, the image, to the web browser, to the client. Here are some examples. Unfortunately, I cannot show them online because we have very bad internet currently. But you can go on elaspix.de. There are links to those examples here. So the first one is a prototype of an outfit configurator. You can choose different outfits, t-shirts, jeans, and you can place patterns on it. You can move those patterns. And this is what Spreadshirt also offers, but here you can also change the confectional size and the tail circumference, so actually the width of the body. And what's very nice with this prototype here, the cloth is simulated how it would look for a stronger person or for a thinner person. So you can just match those settings with your own body sizes, and so you can see how the clothes would look like if this avatar would be your own person. This is a project that we are currently working on for a customer who sells surfaces on public buses and trains as displays for advertising. And this customer has a problem because the designers who design those surfaces do not know much about those vehicles. And there are lots of vehicles, and there are different parts that can be used as display, and other parts cannot be used because of security reasons and sensors that must have a free view. And so it's very hard for the designer to understand what he can do or what she can not do. And with such a system, you can just upload your images, photos, you can create text dynamically and place it on the buses. You can rotate and zoom in as much as you want to watch in detail how your design looks like. This is from the same application. Here we have added a 360-degree panorama photo so that we can simulate how real light will look like on the train and buses. For example, you can have realistic shadows, realistic reflections of the surrounding. And when you rotate in this web application, so this is running on any web application, then the surrounding rotates with the bus, of course, because it's a 360-degree panorama which creates the environment here. This is an example from Shapeways. Shapeways is a company who is dedicated to 3D printing, and they have also realized that mask customization is a very interesting field of work for the future. You can create your own vases and sake sets, and this is made very easily because you just have to move those points of the control outline here, and then a WebGL render service renders the image directly on the client. And I've not shown this image to advertise Shapeways, but to show you that this application has a problem because it cannot be shown on 40% of all devices because it requires WebGL, and WebGL is not that supported on more than 70% of devices. So this is the reason why we cannot build on WebGL, and this is actually the reason why we use Blender in the render farm to create those images. Another reason is that the models are somehow complex because you may have very large textures, like the environment texture here. It's 80 megabytes in size, and it's not a good idea to transfer that information to mobile devices. So a cloud that is rendering everything is the best thing you can do instead of using WebGL here. This is another example, but I will skip this because I only have 4 minutes left. Okay, so this is my second part of the talk, and it's about performance measurement, because I have a very strong interest which platform as a service provider, so these are guys who offer systems that I can rent, have the best performance, and I have used the file from Mike Pence, BMW. This is a model that he provided for the community, and 170 Blender enthusiasts have reported their render times for GPU and CPU, and I have compiled such a small statistics here, and you see that, of course, CPU is a bit, or is very low in comparison to GPU. This is what we all know, but it's very interesting that we have, in average, a computation time of 90 seconds for this scene here, and in CPU we have an average about, I think, 300 seconds, and the very fastest GPU can render, so here's another hill, the scene in 20 seconds. I just looked it up a couple of minutes ago. Every day we have new entries in this table. It's a Google spreadsheet table, and actually the best render time currently is 20 seconds. And I have used this model and rendered this model using the Amazon EC2 systems, and you can see here the different instance types. So those of you who are familiar with Amazon, you can choose different instance types, and they offer different number of cores, and you see that the number of cores have some impact on the response time, on the render time. And what is very interesting is that you can compete with a purely CPU-based rendering system. You can compete with the fastest GPU that is mentioned here in this list. So the fastest is about 20 to 30 seconds, and we can reach with the largest Amazon instance time of 33 seconds. And there's another competitor of Amazon. It's a German company, Profitbricks. It has the advantage that they use a minute-based discount, so Amazon bills you on an hourly basis. This was very nice for me. I had to test to render these images. After 30 seconds, the test was over, but I had to pay 1 hour of these machines. And with Profitbricks, this was not that a problem. I could just try them out. And the very good thing that also Profitbricks offers is that I can increase the number of cores during my instance is running. So in Amazon I have to shut it down, and with Profitbricks I can just increase the number of cores during its running, and so it's very easy to upscale the system. So here we have a chart where we see the function of render time based on cores, and you can see that at first, at the beginning, we have a very strong reduction of response times. So from 2 to 22 cores, it's about 300 seconds that we can win. But at the end, if we go from 40 cores to 62 cores, we cannot win very much. It's only a difference of 2 seconds. So the communication costs are very high, and this eats up all the performance wins that we can have with a multi-core machine. Okay, I have 1 minute left. My learnings are that we have a capped scale effect, so we cannot just add more and more cores and become more and more less render times. And what I also have found out in the last 2 years, or 1.5 years since Cycles is available, it still is for us better to use Blender Internal instead of Cycles, because if you have only 3 seconds time, then Blender Internal creates better results. But this may change if we have other systems, if we use other systems. And very sad for us, if we use Blender Internal's ray tracing, then we have discovered a huge bottleneck. Imagine if I have a system with 62 cores that I can rent for a cost of 2.5 cents per minute, and then I switch on ray tracing, then there is some kind of calculation. It's called building the acceleration structure. It's important for the ray tracing stuff. And this is not multi-threadable. So this is only running on one core, and 61 cores are just idle and are waiting until this core is ready. So this is a performance issue, but this will never change. So I think the good message is that Cycles does not have that kind of problem. Cycles is very deeply multi-threadable, and I think for us, Cycles is the future. But currently we still stick to Blender internal. Yeah, and I think which is very clear, if you want to have the very fastest results, then you have to bake everything and treat your problem as if it would be some kind of gaming problem. And in gaming, we are very familiar with the baking technique, and this is what we also use very often here. Thank you very much.
So, are there any questions? We have like a few minutes for questions. Okay.
Hello, a very interesting thing you offer here. I just have one question. You said that you argue for a rendered image over, a live 3D view over, because it's not well supported among all systems. And as much as I like the idea of having, a rendered thing, what is the advantage of using your system over, I don't know, like a dynamic image editing? If you understand what I mean, if you have an image of a photo, it's easy to change a color with kind of layering technique, and that it would be in a way easier. So
usually how it works when a render farm is not used, because to operate a render farm is not that simple. You have to care about all the stuff like Amazon EC2 machines and so on. And usually what they do is they render layers before the customer goes on the website, and then they just compile the layers dynamically. So they just integrate the layers and change the color. And the problem is that you have lots of features that are not well supported by this technique. For example, if you change the light settings, or if you change the zoom, then you need a very high resolution of a very simple or single tiny piece of your product, and this is nothing that you can prepare before. That is something that you can only prepare on demand. So when the customer presses the zoom button and he can zoom 1,000 times, so very close to the object, then the image is produced, and it takes between 2 and 5 seconds until the customer then sees the freshly rendered image. Okay, there's another question. Maybe you can.
Thank you. Yeah, can you hear me? Could you talk some about your pricing strategy, how you charge your clients for this, and also some of the technology that you use to link the front end to the hosting of the actual Blender instance?
Yeah, okay. So the second question I would like to answer first. The front end is simply HTML and JavaScript, because it has to run on any system. And I think every system that is capable of having a browser running should also run our application. So this is very easy to integrate on any web page in any web shop, because it's just HTML and some little code of JavaScript. And the pricing, we have two different pricing strategies. The first is that the customer pays us all in all. So this is the typical way of how you hire a company or an agency. And the second pricing strategy that we offer is on-demand payment. So there, the customer only pays us if his customers are using our system. So when nobody is using the system, we don't earn any money. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, if many people are using the system, then we hopefully become rich.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello. You thought that the images could help to sell. And what about availability to customers to look and to download a real 3D object. Maybe it could be a further step in that trend.
I couldn't understand your question. It's only that you want to download real 3D objects.
Yeah, to make to customer available to download the real 3D object from a web store. For instance, furniture or whatever. Download and then look at it.
Actually, we are going into this direction for another project that I have not shown here. The advantage of using a product configurator is to enable everybody to manipulate 3D models. And this is perfectly compatible to 3D printing. Because when on the one hand everybody can manipulate models, and we add this or combine the system with a 3D printing service, for example like Shapeways, then a 3D model can be created after the customer has configured it and is printed directly by Shapeways and is sent to the customer at home. So this is what we are currently doing in another project. And so actually it would be no problem to offer the 3D model after it was customized by the customer.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks.